From Washington, this is VOA News. I'm Ray Kouguell reporting. President Obama seeks new authorization to fight Islamic State. Mr. Obama sent Congress a request Wednesday for authorization to use military force against the Islamic State militant group, urging lawmakers to, in his words, show the world we are united in our resolve to counter the threat. The proposed authorization would limit operations to 3 years and bar troops from what it terms enduring offensive ground combat. President Obama says the fight will take time but end in victory.
Now, make no mistake, this is a difficult mission, and it will remain difficult for some time. It's going to take time to dislodge these terrorists, especially from urban areas. But our coalition is on the offensive. ISIL is on the defensive, and ISIL is going to lose.
Mr. Obama's draft proposal says large-scale ground combat operations similar to those in Iraq and Afghanistan should be left to local forces instead of the U.S. military. The proposal must be approved by both the U.S. Senate and House of Representatives. The leaders of Ukraine, Russia, France, and Germany are meeting in Minsk, Belarus, to talk about the conflict in eastern Ukraine. All the talking comes as deadly fighting in the region goes on. At least 2 people died in the rebel-held eastern city of Donetsk when a shell hit a bus station. Military officials also say rebel attacks near Debaltseve had killed at least 19 soldiers and wounded 78 others. Houthi rebels in Yemen's capital have seized U.S. embassy vehicles after American diplomats left the country following the embassy's closure. The United States, Britain, and France announced the closures of their embassies in Sana'a because of deteriorating security conditions inside the country. This is VOA News. President Obama is withdrawing most of the American troops sent to West Africa to combat the Ebola epidemic. He says because the troops are so effective, all but 100 will return home by April 30th. The U.S. deployed 3,000 personnel to set up Ebola treatment units and other infrastructure to fight the virus. 1,500 personnel have already returned. A female suicide bomber blew herself up in the Niger town of Diffa just a day after authorities declared a state of emergency there because of attacks by Nigeria's Boko Haram militants. The UN peacekeeping mission in the Democratic Republic of Congo suspended support for some planned Congolese army operations in the eastern part of the country. VOA's Gabe Joslow has more.
The UN peacekeeping mission in the DRC, known as MONUSCO, is ceasing its cooperation with the Congolese military in planned operations against the FDLR rebel group. MONUSCO Deputy Force Commander Jean Baillaud said the UN made the decision based on a policy not to work alongside those accused of human rights abuses. The concerns involve 2 commanders, General Bruno Mandevu and General Fall Sikabwe, both of whom are allegedly on a so-called UN Red List of human rights violators. The Congolese military and MONUSCO had been working jointly to defeat the FDLR, a rebel group formed from the Hutu fighters responsible for the 1994 genocide in neighboring Rwanda. Gabe Joslow, Nairobi.
The United Nations Refugee Agency says at least 300 migrants are missing and likely dead after trying to cross the Mediterranean Sea in inflatable boats. The UN High Commissioner for Refugees says that it is shocked by new information showing the scale of the tragedy to be much larger than initially reported. Italian authorities said Tuesday at least 29 African migrants died of hypothermia trying to cross the sea from Libya in frigid weather. An Italian court sentenced the captain of a cruise ship to 16 years in prison for causing a deadly 2012 shipwreck and then abandoning the giant ocean liner while hundreds of passengers remained on board. Francesco Schettino was convicted of manslaughter in the deaths of 32 passengers and crew of the liner Costa Concordia, which capsized in January 2012 off the coast of Tuscany. China's state-run Xinhua news agency says President Xi Jinping will be making his first official visit to the United States. That will be coming in September. The trip was announced after Mr. Xi spoke on the phone with President Barack Obama. Mr. Obama urged his Chinese counterpart to push his country further towards consumption-led growth, along with a market-determined exchange rate. I'm Ray Kouguell in Washington.
That's the latest world news from VOA.